When God's silence feels like abandonment, it doesn't arrive loudly. It comes quietly, almost politely. It comes in the unanswered prayers whispered at midnight. In the moments you stare at the ceiling wondering if heaven has gone offline. In the space between your tears hitting the floor and the echo that never comes back. You prayed with faith. You believed with everything you had. And still, nothing. No sign. No voice. No miracle. Just silence. And in that silence, a dangerous question begins to grow. Did God leave me? This message matters because silence is where faith is most tested. Not in the miracle, not in the breakthrough, but in the waiting. This message is for the person who feels forgotten by God, overlooked by heaven, and tired of pretending they're strong. It's for the one who still believes in God, but secretly wonders if God still believes in them. There is a story in the Bible that almost everyone skips past too quickly. It's the story of Joseph. Before the palace, before the power, before the dream came true. Joseph was thrown into a pit by his own brothers. The Bible says there was no water in the pit. Just darkness. Just silence. Imagine that moment. A teenager crying out for help, hearing nothing but his own voice bouncing off stone walls. No angel appeared. No voice from heaven said, "Hold on, Joseph." God was silent, and that silence must have felt like abandonment. Then Joseph was sold into slavery. Again, no explanation from God. Later, he was falsely accused and thrown into prison. Years passed. Not days. Not weeks. Years. The Bible says the Lord was with Joseph. But Joseph could not feel it. That's the part we don't talk about. God can be with you, and you can still feel alone. God can be working, and you can still feel abandoned. Psalm 13 begins with words many believers are afraid to say out loud. How long, O Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? That is David talking, a man after God's own heart. Even David felt forgotten. Even David felt ignored. Even David experienced God's silence. So, if you're there right now, you are not weak. You are human. Here's a hard truth and a holy truth at the same time. God's silence is not God's absence. Silence is often the space where God is doing his deepest work. Think about it. Seeds grow in silence. Bones heal in silence. A child forms in the womb in silence. Not everything powerful is loud. Sometimes God is quiet because he is building something that cannot be rushed. There comes a moment in every believer's life when faith has to graduate from feelings to trust. When you stop asking, "God, do you hear me?" and start declaring, "God, I trust you even when I can't hear you." Hebrews 11 verse 1 says, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." Not felt, not heard, seen. Joseph's turning point didn't come with a warning. One ordinary prison morning, God shifted everything. In one day, Joseph went from forgotten prisoner to second in command of Egypt. The silence wasn't punishment. It was preparation. The pit shaped his humility. The prison shaped his character. The waiting shaped his faith. What felt like abandonment was actually alignment. Jesus himself knows what God's silence feels like. On the cross, he cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Even the Son of God experienced the ache of heaven feeling far away. And yet, that silence did not mean defeat. 3 days later, the stone was rolled away. Silence was not the end of the story. Resurrection was. If God is silent right now, don't assume he is left. Assume he is working beyond what you can see. Isaiah 55 verse 8 says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord." What you call delay, God calls design. What you call silence, God calls strategy. One day, like Joseph, you will look back and say, what the enemy meant for evil, God meant for good. One day, the silence will make sense. One day, you'll realize God never abandoned you. He was training you to trust him without noise, without proof, without applause. So if heaven feels quiet tonight, don't walk away. Stay. Pray anyway. Believe anyway. Trust anyway. Because the same God who was silent in the pit is faithful in the palace. And when God breaks his silence, it will be right on time.